20 soldiers of the army have been killed in a dastardly militant attack in Manipur. Easily one of the worst attacks of its kind in recent memory, it throws up disturbing questions as to whether a dangerous regrouping of militants is taking place and whether the threat of militancy in the northeast has been underestimated, with the public, the media and perhaps even the national security establishment's eye more on Jammu and Kashmir than the northeast. To discuss the implications and what this attack tells us about what we should be paying closer attention to, we're joined now by the former Army Chief, General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, and also with me in the studio is Nitin Gokhale, defense analyst, senior journalist, and of course an old colleague. General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, I'll start with you. One doesn't remember the army taking this scale of losses in a single incident for a long time now. What are the first things that strike you about this? There are details coming in that the NSCN-K and the ULFA have jointly taken responsibility. There are reports that indicate a regrouping of militant groups all coming together under a new banner. What strikes you about what we know so far?
Well, the first thing that strikes you is the scale of the casualties. An Indian Army battalion doesn't suffer 20 casualties in one go. Yes. If it is moving with any semblance of security. Now, as far as I can understand from the facts that I can make out from the media and from other comments that I'm reading, this was an administrative column, yes, which was carrying troops home for leave. Yes. It is not known whether the route on which this column was traveling was at all sanitized, whether road protection parties were out, yeah, or was it taking place, the move was taking place in an area where there was no militant activity, and hence this type of movement was routine, yes, which leads me to believe, though I would like to be informed and corrected if required, the ambush would have taken place somewhere south of Imphal, along somewhere near the Imphal-Moreh road. Am I correct?
Let me bring in Nitin on this. We do know, General Chaudhary, that it's in Naga-dominated area. But I would imagine that the route that the convoy was going to take was well known. It was a unit that was decommissioning. It had just been replaced by another unit there. But General Chaudhary raising the point about sanitization. The fact is that road opening parties really used to pay much more attention at a time when we thought that the threat was much more ominous. Does this attack reflect a kind of complacency setting in?
I would think so at first glance, and first preliminary reports indicate first couple of points that General Roy Chaudhary was asking for. This company was de-inducting from that location, yes, and coming down, basically going out, and one of the companies was replacing it. And there was road opening done apparently, but I think it was done perfunctorily. Yeah. It wasn't very, so there was complacency, one, yeah, on the face of it at least. Yes. And secondly, like General Roy Chaudhary is saying, and I also remember when I spent time in the northeast, the last big ambush I remember was sometime in 1996, where some 25 odd soldiers were killed by a Naga group, the other Naga group, the NSC and IM. Yeah. After that, one has not seen anything going into double digits. But let me also bring you up to date that in the last 3 months, there have been 3 ambushes on the army and the Assam Rifles. One in Arunachal Pradesh, second in Nagaland in Tuensang district, where 8 Assam Rifles people were killed, and now 20 of a 6 Dogra regiment, which is an infantry unit of the army, not even Assam Rifles. So therefore, the coming together of the groups there, 9 groups led by the NSC and Khaplang group, yeah, and the ULFA, has brought in a little bit more
and the government taken by surprise with the NSCN-K only recently withdrawing its ceasefire. We've seen Kiran Rijiju going on record to say that we were taken aback. They were,
in fact, they abrogated the ceasefire on their own. They've been in ceasefire for almost, I would say, 15-16 years now, from 1997. And they were taken by surprise. And they had a meeting recently in April in Myanmar, in Sagyang division, where they decided to form this front called United Nationalist Liberation Front of Southwest, Southeast Asia, West Southeast Asia, some very long big name.
Yeah.
The point is they have pooled their
Where
resources.
they actually say that the Northeast is part of Western Southeast Asia.
Exactly.
WISA as they're calling it. But General Chaudhary, the fact of the matter is that this is coming at a time when Tripura just lifted the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Now, of course, no one state can be compared to the other, but Manipur has seen the iconic Irom Sharmila fasting for the removal of AFSPA, and that has taken place, you know, for several years, and now you have the attacks that Nitin is referring to. So do you think this seals the debate on the Armed Forces Special Powers Act?
No, I don't see it that way. I see it that the army is now got to go in for a much longer tenure than they had thought earlier. We always thought that the Northeast now is a bit of a forgotten front and things are quiet there. And people have been saying, why are you wasting troops in the Northeast? There's really nothing going on there. Yeah. But now we see things are hotting up. Now bringing in Manipur, bringing in Imphal, all those areas.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this greater Southeast Asia is expanding. And so we have to now bring the army back on a big scale. And if I am not mistaken, we should now treat the Northeast as if it was a prelude to another J&K coming up. I think it is better to be safe than sorry. I think it's better to move in.
Very serious thing to say. And you know what's ironic is I think that if you do a statistical comparison, militancy may have declined in Jammu and Kashmir compared to the sudden surge we are seeing in the Northeast, sir.
Yes, I know. So bring in more troops and see that both these areas remain under control.
Nitin, this comparison
with Jammu... You have to invest
Jammu...
more troops in the Northeast now.
Nitin, Northeast is a forgotten front. The media is more guilty than anybody else. Even today, had these soldiers died in Jammu and Kashmir, all of us, and we all must plead guilty, would have been giving it more attention. But General Chaudhary is making a strategic argument. He's saying that there is a sense that we're not looking at this as an area that actually needs more troops, not less.
Well, I don't know what the quantity of troops or the quantum of troops, but I must say this, that the Northeast must be looked at as a bridge between India, rest of India and Southeast Asia. The government is saying that we are acting east.
Yeah.
And if we don't fix Northeast, then your acting east policy will be of no consequence.
So the biggest takeaway for you as we conclude of this attack, what's the thing that strikes you?
The thing is that there are enough troops there as far as I know. The largest corps in the Indian Army is in Manipur and Nagaland. Yeah. So that's not a problem. The problem is of application and accountability. If these ambushes have taken place and scale of casualties that have occurred, I think some heads need to roll really, and the army
You're saying some heads should roll?
Yes, I think so, because this is serious. You can't take this kind of casualties, and therefore the army must now look at its SOPs and look at the redeployment of its troops.
Standard operating procedures need to be reviewed. General Chaudhary, 30 seconds, last word. Nitin Gokhale arguing some heads have to roll. These are the lives of 20 of our young men.
Heads always roll. Under such circumstances, when they take place, the person in charge, the heads roll. Sometimes the wrong heads roll, but heads do roll. But some stringent action will be taken, has to be taken.
Yes.
And it's a wake-up because our SOPs are all there. They have to be practiced correctly, and the biggest wake-up call, the troops themselves have woken up.
Absolutely.
And now they will take all this very seriously.
And we hope the Northeast will then, it's sad that it takes an attack like this for the Northeast, for states like Manipur to get the attention on primetime news. But important points being made by both of you, General Chaudhary and Nitin Gokhale. Thank you so much for joining us on the Buck Stops here.